want to get into just the season holistically here. Starting with the Minnesota Wild in particular, where do you see them stacking up in the Western Conference and or Central Division?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call them right now, at least, the class of the Western Conference. I think there are teams that are ahead of them both in the division and in the conference, with Vegas, who won the Cup. And I think right now, we did our predictions. I predicted them to be third in the Central Division behind Colorado and Dallas, who could be kind of the favorite.
That was pretty unanimous on our preseason picks too.
So I think the third, fourth in the division is kind of, where they kind of hovered around last year. And they brought the whole team back except for like Matt Dumba, and they brought Maroon over Reeves, and not much changing there. So I think if they're in that third, fourth range, make the playoffs, I think that's kind of a realistic scenario. If they get hot and things go well and their goaltending is as good as it was last year, then they have a chance to bump up. And they were close. And at the end of the year, I think they were in March, they were vying for the Eastern Conference title, or as far as like the top seed, until there was that Vegas trip, lost to Vegas, and then lost the next time to Vegas too, and then kind of went on a little bit of a slow streak. But so I think in that second, third, fourth range in the division. But as I think we'll mention later, Arizona's improved. Winnipeg just signed two of their core pieces, Scheifele and Hellebuck. So they're going to be –
that's right where I was going to go with it.
not trade deadline fodder. They'll be guys that are sticking around. So
yeah,
St. Louis, had a uncharacteristically rough year. So they kind of rebuild with some moves that they made. So there'll be less gimmies, I think, in that division, to where every point will be so important.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has largely improved across the division, it seems, besides the Wild, who haven't gotten worse. They just haven't notedly improved, besides, hey, you can look at Johansson as being an acquisition, right? Because we didn't have him most of the year. That'd be a huge spark to the team if they can even be 80% of what that line was last year. But I look back on my preseason picks, and I'm flirting with putting the Jets above the Wild now that those extensions are done. Like, do you think that the Winnipeg Jets, after their trade, where I think they made out extremely well, shipping out Dubois and getting the return they did, do you think the Jets have a strong case for bumping the Wild out of the top three in the division?
I think they have a case for sure. I mean, I think if they weren't in such turmoil last year, they would have been a lot. Have Bonus calling out his players and just the frustration there. I think that really got to the whole psyche of the team, not knowing if Dubois wanted to stay or if their top guys wanted to stay. The Blake Wheeler situation that went on the last couple of years. So
yeah,
I think there'll be a much more maybe harmonic time there, and guys believing in having your world-class goalie there all year and happy. And
yeah,
like there's not much of a wiggle room or margin for error between like the Wild and some of these other teams like Winnipeg. So if a team is more consistent and just gets some of the bounces, or just get some more health, there's clearly a way for them to make a little bit more of a move in the division.